Ain't No Rock and Roll was sort of like my response to all of my musical heroes that didn't show up over the last 3 years. I feel like with COVID and just worldwide tyranny, there was never like a better time to speak up against the man, and very few of my heroes showed up to the fight. So this was my sort of musical response to those guys.
It is actually remarkably shocking that few people that kind of made their names, right, and essentially speaking truth to power or supposedly speaking truth to power, just suddenly were absent here.
It is amazing because you think about the countercultural movement of the 60s and the energy that was behind it, and it seems like so much of it was a sham.
So was it really a sham, or did people change their minds? I mean, I've heard both theories.
So, in my opinion, a lot of it's demographic. There were many younger people around the time of the 60s. And as a result, you had certain economic, social considerations, just the result of an old regime being replaced by a new regime. Unfortunately, the children of the 60s are still extremely significant demographically in the United States, and they do not, under any circumstances, want to surrender power economically or politically, and this is symbolic of that.
Fascinating. And so, you've done a bunch of songs now. I mean, I think in a sense, this song, this new one that you've just launched, is one of the tamer ones of your recent set. But so tell me, how is it that you ended up doing these songs?
Well, I spent a lot of 2020 examining what was happening in the world, and I was thinking about the future that was being made for my kids. And I felt like I had a platform as a musical artist. And like I said, I was looking around wondering why my heroes weren't speaking up. So I decided to sort of step forward and start releasing these songs and say something musically, not just as an artist, but just also for the sake of my kids' future. I didn't want them to look back on this time and wonder why Dad didn't say anything about what was happening in the world.
Fight for you makes me think of that, actually.
Yeah, exactly. That one was for it was for my kids. It was for a lot of the parents in this movement. That children are at the forefront of this fight, I think.
But you've been, I don't think you've been treated very well by the music industry, aside from a few outliers here. But
yeah, you really learn who your friends are the moment you sort of dip your toe into that water and start speaking out about what's important to you. So I lost a lot of friends in the music industry, but also gained a lot of new musical friends, and that's really exciting to see. It let me know that I wasn't alone.
How is it that you came across 5 Times August, Matt?
Well, Brad's a phenomenal talent. He's not only a phenomenal songwriter, actually the music videos for his songs, he puts them together. He's the artist behind the videos. And so my first exposure to Brad was through Sad Little Man, and the music video for that, and I thought it was phenomenal. And the team loves Brad, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do with Based Records, it's not a matter of partisan politics, it's not a matter of left or right, it's a matter of creating a new culture. And that's what a guy like Brad actually does. He's an actual creator, rather than somebody who's just going out there being acrimonious. He's actually trying to say something.
So come to think of it, I didn't even ask, how did you guys actually meet?
So we first met in person in Austin, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was introduced to Based through Chad Prather, actually.
Oh, really?
He told me about you, and then you guys invited me down to Austin, and they were doing an event with Minds, and we all hung out that night, and I got to know the guys pretty well.
Wait. So you're saying I was there?
And you were there too,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh.
You were there with your producer, Karis, who was a wonderful lady, not too far off camera. And no, it was a great event. Brad was there. Winston Marshall of Mumford & Sons was there. He came and he played a couple of songs. He was great. We had a really fantastic night. We had Jeffrey Steele and Ira Dean, who were 2 very big songwriters out of Nashville. They wrote for Aaron Lewis, Am I the Only One? Big hit song. And they played that song. It was a lot of fun.
So Matt, tell me a little more about the different artists that you've signed or are looking at, and I can't help but think, is Oliver Anthony one of them, or at least have you reached out?
What a great song, huh? Amazing song. Richmond, north of Richmond. Really incredible, especially that first verse. Really hit a lot of people right between the eyes. We reached out to tell him congratulations, and obviously if he ever approached us, we'd love to work with him too. In terms of the artists I'm trying to work with, it's about a cultivated sense. It's about, first of all, the aesthetic, the quality of the music, but it's also about finding people who are easy to work with, people who are receptive. But we're working with Brad, 5 Times August, working with Chad Prather, who also has a show on the Blaze, who has a real Will Rogers comedic, humorist quality to him. We have Chris Wallen, who's a fantastic songwriter in Nashville, and he's working with songwriting talent all over town. And we found one incredible song called I'd Be Jolly Too. And Chad has cut it, and it's going to be a wonderful Christmas song. It's raunchy, it's fun, there's energy. We're also working with High Res, who recently put out his Trump the Dawn series. I'm sure that you saw First Day Out. He did an AI Trump parody rap. And we're going to put out an incredible song this November. It's about the Second Amendment, our need to protect our Second Amendment, and his personal experiences with it, which have been heart-wrenching. And then we're also in talks with Afroman. We're in talks with Afroman to do a parody of Because I Got High called 'Cause Hunter Got High. All right, and we're looking... The point is you have to have fun.
The new single, Ain't No Rock and Roll, is sort of a super group of superstars from Nashville, as well as Pete Parada from The Offspring, who is unfortunately kicked out of his band for not getting the shot. But he plays drums on it. Ira Dean on bass, who's a mega star. Chris, who we mentioned a few times, produced the track, who's a mega superstar. Tom Bukovic on guitars, who's a great Nashville guitar player. And Jim Moose Brown, who played with Steve Miller's band. So all like-minded, freedom-loving musicians who are on the track.
And that's the other important thing about Nashville, by the way. Nashville's the one place where you can find like-minded people, talented people who are just incredible musicians, and a lot of them aren't being given their due because of their opinions, right? And that's why actually we started the office in Nashville, specifically to find those people and work with them.
It's hard to imagine in these times how it is that you could be profitable trying to do what you're doing.
You make a great point. I mean, I ran a big conservative news website called The Post Millennial. And right around the time that COVID hit and the Summer of Love hit, we had a really fantastic journalist, he still works there, Andy No, who covered Antifa and what Antifa was doing in Portland. We had another wonderful guy, Ari Hoffman, in Seattle. And so we had the Pacific Northwest covered. And as a result, we had tons and tons of boycotts, right? The thing that I learned about conservative media is that we're looking for something to sell, in the sense that people are looking for something to find hope in, right? They're looking for art. They're looking for culture, because so much of music and movies and television spits in their face, for lack of a better term, insults them for having very simple, fundamental values, for having children, for caring about your family, for wanting to make decisions about your own body. You're right, no business is guaranteed to be profitable. However, what I believe, at least in terms of the mission, is that we have to exist. This kind of art has to exist. And because I think that the success of this kind of art is inevitable, the success of the business, God willing, there will be proper stewardship, and I won't do anything stupid, but God willing, it'll succeed as well.
Don't forget to subscribe to our Alerts newsletter, and you'll never miss an episode.